I'm Vince Russo. I'm currently the president of AirCamp, also chairman of the board, and one of the 4 founders of AirCamp. Well, AirCamp was started by 4 individuals. Lieutenant General retired Dick Reynolds. Dick probably knows more about airplanes than any individual, any 5 individuals you and I could come up with. Tom Lasley, who I think most people know in our community. Tom, at the time, was still the dean of the School of Education. Dan Sadlier, at the time, just had retired as president of Fifth Third Bank, and me. And I'm an engineer by training. So we had a pilot, an educator, a banker, and an engineer. 4 of us, okay, totally different backgrounds, but all with the same understanding of the problem. We started this thing with a problem that we saw in the workforce. I spent 41 years out of Wright-Patterson. I ended up retiring as one of the senior civilians out there. Well, my last job, I was had the oversight responsibility for the entire civilian workforce out there. And one of the things that was obvious to me is that flow of people who understood the importance of STEM as it applies to aviation kept narrowing and narrowing and narrowing. Well, that pipeline kept shrinking and shrinking and shrinking. The 4 of us said, we got to do something about it. This is going to destroy us if we can't wind that pipeline. I think our first discussions about this idea started back in 2006. We actually ended up running our first camp in 2010. 1 camp, 2010, 1 camp, 40 students. This year, 27 camps, something like 17,000, 18,000 students impacted, with a goal of impacting 100,000 students over the next several years. Our vision statement is that we inspire students. We can't educate them because we don't have them long enough, but we can inspire them. So if we can inspire a student by attending our camp, inspire them to want to pursue education in STEM as it relates to aviation, maybe careers. It's not about being a pilot, it's about being in the aviation world. If we can inspire them, that's great. The teachers are kind of key, though, to that, because you can only inspire so many students during a summer. So we hit on this idea a few years ago that if we can inspire teachers or give them the tools to take back to their classroom, they then could inspire the student.
My name is Jen Stormer, and I teach 3rd through 6th grade STEM at Northmont City Schools. I attended AirCamp back in 2015, and it was the very first Teachers AirCamp ever launched. What pulled me in was they advertised you could fly a plane at the end with a flight instructor, so that was the big hook. But I ended up loving it. It was just a great experience for networking and being introduced to new STEM lessons that I can bring right into my classroom right away. So my students are super excited about all the AirCamp lessons I've brought back. We use a wind tunnel, and they think that is really amazing. The straw rocket launchers, they love making straw rockets and launching them, but we learn a lot of science doing so. They don't realize they're learning so much, but they're having fun. And then, of course, their favorite is the drones. Many of my students have fallen in love with coding because of the drones we do in the classroom, and they start asking about careers in coding or specifically UAVs. So that is always, a hook for students. So we teach a lot of coding, some math, some real-world scenarios using the drones. It's very exciting for me as a teacher. I love when my kids are excited. I want my class to be somewhere they're excited to come to, but they're also learning a lot. And so I love it when I see them passionate about something and even wanting to explore it beyond what we're doing in the classroom.
The thing I feel best about is I think we're doing that. I think we're making a difference. I think we've broadened the pipeline, and we're starting to really inflow the people through the pipe. We've been at this for 15 years, and when you get to be my age, you start thinking about, well, what are you leaving behind? So we got to talking about our legacy, about leaving a scholarship for students to go to AirCamp. Well, if you want to do this in perpetuity, you have to create an endowment. Right? Well, we're better to do that at the Dayton Foundation, right? So every year, AirCamp raises enough extra money to give scholarships to about 15 to 20% of our students. We always have a pool of students who would love to attend but need scholarship help. we try to find ways to cover them. Well, this is one way to cover them, right? The first one went really well. I would anticipate they all do, because every year, like I said, we get this pool of really good kids.
I think the scholarship fund is important, particularly for our students that are underrepresented in STEM fields. Many students have barriers based on race and socioeconomic status, and they just don't have the exposure that others do. And I want to see all those students reached, not just the kids that come from wealthy families. So I think the scholarship piece I'm very passionate about, because I want all of my students, all races, all socioeconomic backgrounds to be able to experience this and see themselves in STEM and have that STEM identity and realize like the sky is the limit.